Hey y'all, Michael here. This episode of Arcane Carolinas is brought to you by Squat Shots. Squat Shots changed my life. Squat Shots are a product of
BDDY Holdings Incorporated,
a diagonally integrated company with several major subsidiaries.
You are listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place.
Bring us in.
All right. I'm so fried. Sorry. You can probably hear the gears turning in my head as I prepare to say, hi, I'm your co-host, Charlie Mushaw.
And I am your other co-host, multi-award-winning novelist, Michael G. Williams.
And if you hear the melodious sounds of K-pop Demon Hunter or Roblox in the background, it's because we're recording in the very soundproof Chatham County studio.
Yes. We've got a really good background noise plug-in that I use from a company called Waves. So
The staff here is not exactly playing ball.
Well, life is going to go on. It's going to be okay. We are, in fact, this episode going to be talking about a tale of a difficult child.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Your children are not difficult.
No.
It's just funny that this is about a father and his offspring. So,
That's perfect. We didn't plan this at all.
yeah. 4 years ago, I think,
Okay.
we talked about the Gray Man of Pawley's Island.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we talked about the other Gray Man of Pawley's Island.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year after that, we talked about the Great Lady of South Carolina, Theodosia Burr. And this year, we're going to talk about the other Gray Lady.
Okay. And that's the problem child?
Yes.
The challenging child?
Yes.
Okay. I'm guessing that this is the origins of the story are going to predate Roblox.
Significantly.
Okay. They have blocks
They do have blocks there.
during this
Yes.
era. Timeless.
They do.
But not,
They do.
do they have robots?
No.
So no robots, only
No.
blocks.
No.
Definitely no Roblox.
Yeah. This will eventually arrive in 20th century Camden, South Carolina.
Okay.
But it's going to start significantly far away from there in space and time.
Okay.
So the place, Camden, South Carolina, was originally part of the territory of the Catawba people. We've talked extensively about the Catawba, so I'll elide that part. Take it as read. We have many episodes where we've talked about the Catawba. But this was originally Catawba territory. But this legend starts in France. In 16th century France, in fact.
Oui. I do not know how to say any numbers in French. I was going to try to say 16.
Un, deux, trois, quatre. I think that's about as far as I can get. Cinq, say. I think, okay, maybe I can make it 7 or 8.
I enjoy their bread.
It's very good bread, yes.
I do not enjoy their skunks.
Oh, I love their skunks. At least the cartoons about them. But that's just me.
I saw a reel, just a quick aside, about how it's like, it's this guy, and he watches old cartoons and starts with, so imagine, and then describes the scenario the character's on. So imagine that you're a cat, and you get the paint on you, but you realize you can get anything you want with this paint on you because everybody's sprayed you.
Would have been the dream. Oh my God.
I forgot about that whole component of the Pepe Le Pew. Like, I knew there was a cat, but I forgot that she got paint on her and then ran around town, like, scaring scaring like dogs and like stealing pies or whatever. Pretending to be a skunk.
Oh, I used to love those cartoons as a kid. Oh my God. It's funny, we're recording this on a Monday, and today's New York Times crossword puzzle, which this will not be a spoiler for anybody unless you're weeks behind on your crossword puzzles. One of the answers is Pepe Le Pew.
Really?
Yeah.
This is already my favorite episode of the spooky season just because of all the little fun coincidences.
Indeed. Are you familiar with the French Wars of Religion?
Vaguely.
Okay. A series of civil wars in
Yeah.
16th century France between Protestants and Catholics.
Tale as old as time.
As old as time. A popular one in Europe. You know?
Or that's the thing. You're like, are you familiar with these? And I'm like, well, you reach all the way back to AP European history and be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just Protestants and Catholics killing each other
Yeah, pretty much.
in the name of God.
That's going to be a theme in this episode.
Nothing says brotherly love like murdering a different denomination of the same faith.
Yeah, over ultimately pretty minor liturgical differences. God, we're going to get email about that because I said minor. So this starts.
We are.
We are.
It's okay.
It's,
the core
whatever.
message is okay. We're not getting into this.
Yeah,
This is not a theology podcast.
it's not.
I feel like we should do a theology podcast.
Oh, God. I feel like it'd be very brief.
I feel like it wouldn't even split the base. I feel like it would just burn the base to the ground.
Yeah, it'd just be
Similar
done.
to the way that Protestants would burn Catholics.
Well, this it's the other way around in this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this legend starts with a
You
family.
have to cut all of that. That's really good stuff, though.
It's good stuff. We're going to keep it. It's going to be okay.
Okay.
It's going to be fine. People who tune in for the banter, they're going to be like, this, don't care about anything after this. That was worth it. So, good for them. This legend, it starts with a family in France, the name of whom I will absolutely mispronounce. It is, as far as I know, the Desarin family.
That's what we're rolling with.
Yeah. It might be Desarin or something like that. I don't know. Whatever it is, I'm saying Desarin.
It is Autumn France.
And Eloise Desarin was the Catholic daughter of the Desarin family. Her father was this devout Catholic named Darcy Desarin. And in the legend, Eloise fell in love with a young Huguenot man.
Can't be doing that.
Yeah. Now, the Huguenots were the Protestants.
Right.
Huguenots were a sect of Protestantism that had split off from the Lutherans over what were some incredibly minor disagreements.
The Oxford comma.
It was specifically about, if I remember correctly, which parts of the consecrated host for communion had been transmuted.
It's a real there spelling error situation.
It was very, very fine hair splitting as far as I remember. I could be wrong about that. And if I am wrong, well, the Huguenots can sue me. So
Are there still Huguenots?
no.
Oh. It's
We're
like,
about to talk about why there aren't.
That's outstanding.
So Eloise fell in love with a Huguenot young man, and Darcy, her father, became very angry about this. In the legend, Darcy plotted to kill the lover, who is unnamed. And when he bursts into the room where Eloise and her lover are having their meeting to discuss running away, to kill the lover, Eloise throws herself in front of her boyfriend and says, before you kill him, you have to kill me.
It's all very Jean-Luc Godard.
It's very melodramatic.
Yeah, very French.
Very. And as a result, after seeing how dedicated Eloise is to this guy, her father says, okay, I won't kill him, but I also will not allow you to marry him. And so I'm sending you to a convent. And he has to go somewhere else. I don't care where. It just needs to be really far away, and you can never be together again.
Okay.
But I'll spare his life.
I have questions about the convent thing.
Okay. Before leaving for the convent, because Eloise was not a fan of this plan, but she also knew literally her father was standing there holding the weapon. Saying yes in that moment was the only way to spare his life.
Sure.
So she says yes, and then she keeps her word. But before she left for the convent, She said to the family when they were gathered to bid her adieu. That's French, right?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. Sure.
Yeah, sure. It's not adios.
That's true. And that's the thing. I took Spanish. And so every time I
Right.
like try to think of a word in French, I think of the word in Spanish. So at any rate, Eloise, as the family is gathered to say their goodbyes, curses the family and says, "You will know nothing but heartbreak and tragedy in each generation forever."
I feel like this is similar to something else that we've talked about.
Which one?
I can't remember, but this is feeling familiar.
It kind of does feel familiar. If it turns out that we've already done this one, I'm going to be really embarrassed, but I'm pretty sure we have not.
Okay.
And if we have, well, then everybody just...
That'll be funny. It'll be a redo.
If we have already done this one, it'll be like, well, we've done 150 episodes. Sometimes we forget. I did actually go back through the episode list to make sure we had not already done this.
No, it's just
Because-
funny to me that like, I kind of hope that we have done this at this point.
I was originally going to do this at South Carolina State Library, and then stuff came up, and then the second time stuff came up.
Yeah.
And so I've prepared to do this episode twice already. So I'm convinced we have already done it.
Okay.
But I think we have not. And
We're in it now. We've gone too far. The only way out is through, Michael.
we're going to finish the episode. Don't worry. Once she arrives at the convent, immediately Eloise starts to grow weak and waste away. And within a year, she dies.
Okay. That part reminds me of the Alice Flagg story.
Oh, yes. Yes, you're quite right.
And there's like a whole bunch of people named Alice Flagg. That's probably where I'm getting. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all clicking.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, that is what it reminds me. Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah, that's the
ticket. Yeah. So then, once she dies, her mother, out of sadness for Eloise, likewise begins to grow weak and curses the father specifically with her final words.
Double curse.
Before dying. So yeah, he is double dipping the hexen.
Doubly.
He is like extra hexed.
X squared.
He is hex squared. So then Darcy begins to grow despondent with regrets over the choices that he's made. And he
Perhaps I have made a terrible mistake.
I think that's probably exactly what he said. He,
Sad noises.
he's basically French Joe Bluth. So, and as he began to like suffer greater regrets, he started to have hallucinations, or as he was telling the rest of the family, visions.
Sure.
A year later, after a year of suffering these sorts of visions, he goes and gets the same weapon that he drew to go after Eloise's boyfriend, and he runs himself through with it.
Ugh, that's a way to go.
Yes. And in some versions of this legend, his two sons, Eloise's brothers, Raoul and Jules de Sarin, are summoned before he dies. And in Darcy's last confession, he tells them that Eloise's spirit appeared to chastise him, and that's what led him to take those actions.
Chastise feels like a minor way of putting it, to drive you to kill yourself.
Yeah,
Torment, Mike.
Torment, taunt. Taunt's pretty wild, too. Torment is a good one.
Nice things.
Yeah, right. And I said, I'll show you.
They are French,
I don't know,
Michael.
I don't know why their father is Paul Lind, but there we go.
Very, very, very dramatic.
Yes. With their father's death, Jules and Raoul, who had been practicing Catholics to keep their father happy, converted to Protestantism and became active Huguenots. And it's important.
Why?
Because that was what they had always wanted to do. But their father was the person in control of the money.
It's an odd dream. When I grow up, I'm going to be a Huguenot.
Well, I think it's an important note that Huguenotism, I don't know what it was referred to, was Huguenot was a kind of a slur. It wasn't really a slur, but it was an epithet that Catholics used for that specific branch of Protestants. But it's also the word that we use in history. So
yeah, it's fine.
Whatever.
I don't think they're going to come after us.
Right. They're going to be okay. But it's just interesting that's the
they're
word.
all dead. It's fine.
Right. and the Huguenot practice was more than just like believing a slightly different set of the same beliefs. It was also very political.
Okay.
So like politics and religion were one and the same. in
Right.
France at the time.
There's a reason they're separate now.
There is. One hopes.
Right.
One hopes they're separate.
Yeah.
But being a Huguenot was more than just like having a different opinion about what words to say. It was like
Your identity. It was everything.
It was how you envisioned the world and the way the world should be.
Okay.
So they're like, well, Dad's out of here, so we get to go be Huguenots now. And that is immediately what they do. Years go by as they participate in Huguenot society. And as the two of them are sitting together in the family home, Eloise's spirit appeared to them. In the legend, she struggled to speak but could produce no words and then vanished while wearing a look of anguish on her face. Clearly, she's trying to tell them something. It's probably a warning or something. She doesn't look angry. She looks horrified.
She is less sad.
She is less sad, and then she's gone.
Someone's going to get really offended by this episode.
Oh, they are. Days later, an event referred to now as the St. Bartholomew Massacre took place. That was a targeted wave of assassinations of prominent Huguenot aristocrats that immediately expanded out into a wave of killings that spread from Paris into the countryside. Between 5,000 and 30,000 French Protestants were murdered in a matter of weeks.
That's a lot.
And it led to the Third War of Religion in France.
I'm not going to make any jokes about that. We can move on.
Okay. In the legend, Jules was murdered in that very first wave of violence. But on the night Eloise appeared to them, before any of that had happened, Raoul, when he returned to his room, found a monk's robes inexplicably laid out in his bedroom. So when the massacre began, days later, and he realized that Jules had been murdered, he ran home, ran to his room, grabbed those monk robes, disguised himself, and then traveled out of France pretending to be a Catholic monk rather than a Huguenot noble. Eventually, one of his descendants, also named Raoul, so like Raoul the 27th or whatever, made his way to America and built a home in Camden, South Carolina.
I am having such strong deja vu about this. The robe thing. Have we had a robe person before? Like a fleeing person in a robe? Or a fleeing person in disguise?
I'm sure we have.
Keep going. I'm really enjoying this. I'm just letting you know I'm
Right.
having like crazy deja vu right now.
Oh, I wonder if this is one of the live episodes that we did this year. Well, if so, this is going to be a much better quality version.
Yeah, sure. For those of you that skip the live episodes, this is the kind of hot stuff you're missing.
And that home in Camden was called Lausanne, Lausanne, which was the same name as the family's estate in France.
Okay.
On the grounds of Lausanne, the family built a home and a plantation and became Americans over the course of centuries, later, centuries after all of that had happened. So that by the 19th century, the Dossarans were just a family of rich people in Camden who owned a plantation.
That still have a curse.
They still had a curse. In the legend, they were doing landscaping work on the property.
Yes, we have done this.
Oh,
The light bulb just went off because I was like, there's trees or something coming up.
oh, we
It's
have done
somewhere
this.
there's trees.
Must have been a live episode.
Whatever, keep going. I forget half the stuff.
Okay. All right.
We're here, we're doing it. We're
Yeah.
20 some odd minutes in.
The family was planting a circle of cedars on the grounds. And one of the enslaved people working for them warned them, cedars will bring tragedy to a home.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the patriarch of the family was just like, whatever, I don't care, like cedars.
I'm willing to accept tragedy to repel moths.
We're going to do
Little cedar
a circle of
blocks
cedars.
you put in your closet.
Right. Subsequently, the Gray Lady began to appear to the family again. She was seen by many more generations of Dossarans. Also, sometimes they used the name Desausin, Desaussin. And each time she appeared, she heralded tragedy, often seen in that circle of cedars on the grounds of Lausanne in Camden. By the 19th century, the family had gone extinct or moved elsewhere. And Lausanne had become a luxurious spa and hotel in Camden, South Carolina.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
The hotel that their home had been turned into was referred to as the Court Inn.
Okay.
It was a nationally famous resort property and one of the first wave of Southern mansions in the postbellum period after the Civil War to be turned into a tourist destination. Rail lines and roads and eventually automobiles and everything like that made national travel easier and easier in the second half of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. And so old mansions in the South, old plantation houses that were still maintained, would sometimes get turned into really fancy hotels.
Sure. I mean, big fancy houses still get turned into hotels.
Yeah. And in this case,
I don't see that happening with McMansions, though. That would be
No,
funny, like 50
wouldn't it?
years from now.
Yeah.
Just
So
like,
you want to come spend the weekend in a hastily built, extravagant eyesore that all the neighbors hate. Interestingly, the Court Inn was a winter resort, which was a phenomenon unique to the South. A lot of resorts in the world run like spring to fall, obviously. You know, you think of like in The Shining, where the hotel in The Shining opens on Memorial Day and closes on Labor Day.
Yep.
It's only open for the warm months. The Court Inn would open for the season each year on Thanksgiving Day and then run through the winter.
Cool.
At the time, Thanksgiving Day was not yet a national holiday, but it had been informally standardized as the last Thursday in November. So they would open the last Thursday in November. And it was known for the beauty of the grounds and the extensive tennis courts, as well as access to golf. This was a hotel for very rich people.
Yeah, I'd imagine that was much more rare than it is now.
Unfortunately, as it changed hands over the decades and the generations, it fell into disrepair. And by the 1950s, it was pretty clear that it either needed to be significantly restored or it needed to be demolished, but it was unsafe. Kershaw County Historical Society tried to raise funds to purchase the property in the late 50s and early 60s, but in 1964, it was torn down.
That sucks.
Newspaper stories had run on occasion, 1952, 1964, about the Gray Lady of Camden. And those stories usually reported that no one had seen her in a long time, generally attributed to there being no Desarans around anymore in Camden at that point.
They are the cursed ones.
It was also noted at the time that the grove of cedars on the property remained standing, perhaps heralding Eloise's final curse on the family, its disappearance, and the destruction of the home that bore the name of the last place that she was ever happy. I like that as a particular footnote on the legend.
Yeah. So this Gray Lady is gone.
She hasn't been seen since the place where her family resided ceased to exist.
Right.
Yes. I think it's worth taking a little brief historical aside to talk a little about the St. Bartholomew's Massacre. French Wars of Religion. The massacre started on August 23rd and 24th of 1572. Like I said, it was this big wave of anti-Protestant violence in Paris. It was extremely bloody, very high body count, extremely violent. Huguenots specifically referred to Calvinist Protestants. Today's best-known denominations descended from the Calvinists are probably the Presbyterians, and also the Episcopalians and Anglicans are to some degree descended from Calvinists. So they're kind of still around, you know.
Yeah.
Massacre was prompted because, and tell me if any of this sounds familiar, the reason the massacre happened was because everybody knew that more violence was on the verge of breaking out. The Huguenots, especially the Huguenot aristocrats, had become significantly more powerful. They had control of several cities in France. Things were peaceful, but extremely tense.
Okay.
So the king was young and weak. And the queen mother was a Medici and very powerful and really wanted to see peace. She really did not want her young sons, he was like 22. She didn't want his reign to be marred by more violence. So she took the princess, who was a Catholic, and arranged to marry her off to a Huguenot noble who was related to the crown. And the wedding was to be performed by his Catholic bishop uncle to prove to everybody how happy everybody was that a really high-profile Catholic and a really high-profile Huguenot were going to marry.
Yep.
The guy that she was going to marry wasn't just a noble. He was the prince of a different kingdom, and she was going to wind up the Catholic queen of a kingdom that was about to be ruled by a Huguenot. So everybody was hoping that they were going to weave everybody together enough that nobody would start a fight. Catherine de' Medici had this big plan, and she announced the wedding, and the court was horrified. And the church, the Catholic Church, was horrified. Even though a Catholic bishop was going to
Yeah, I
perform
thought
this
they already
wedding,
had the guy on deck to do
oh,
it.
they did. They had the dates picked and everything. And nobody could come out and say, you can't do that to the mother of the king, who is clearly the most powerful person in the kingdom.
It's all Game of Thronesy.
It is. But they didn't want it to happen. So a whole bunch of members of the court refused to attend the wedding. Stuff like that was happening. There's a lot of controversy around. It became pretty clear that this was not going to affect the peace that they had hoped for, because a whole bunch of Huguenot nobles and aristocrats showed up in Paris to attend the wedding. And one of them was this admiral. There was an attempted assassination of the admiral by a Catholic. And that led to some pushing and shoving, some of it metaphorical, some of it not at all metaphorical.
Yeah, I think a little pushing and shoving of an assassination attempt is okay.
Yeah. And so everything got really tense. The wedding went off, but then the next day was this assassination attempt. And then Catherine de' Medici and Henry, the king, got really nervous that things were about to go totally pear-shaped and decided, let's jump the gun. Let's be the first ones to strike. And so nobody knows exactly who ordered the first killings. And nobody knows exactly how it started. But generally speaking, historians tend to agree these days that very likely what happened was that Catherine and Henry ordered the assassination of a couple of dozen Huguenot nobles and aristocrats, thinking if we sort of cut off the head of their organization, then they won't be organized enough to face us. So a few dozen people got assassinated that night. And it is believed that probably a group or network of groups of Catholic extremists took that as the opportunity to strike themselves, and that they were the ones who started the wider wave of violence.
Okay, because that was going to be one of my questions. Once you started getting government involved, I'm all right, so these weren't rowdy mobs at the start. It was coordinated.
Yes.
Okay.
This was a political move in the first hours that triggered a whole bunch of, let's just hypothetically imagine that you live in a society where there are a whole bunch of heavily armed extremists with extreme religious beliefs, and they've been looking for an excuse to pick a fight. And so something happens that makes them really excited, and they think this is their opportunity, and they decide to go for it. And that's what happened. But by the end of a few weeks later, there were points at which Henry got really wigged out by what was happening and was trying to send messages to his noble cabinet, basically, the nobles who ran other parts of France for him.
Yeah.
He was trying to get the messages to say, you have to clamp down on this. We can't have this happening. We do not want to be the king of a massacre.
Right.
And the other members of the royal family were preventing those messages from reaching their intended destinations so that the killings would continue. There was some really shady Game of Thrones stuff happening as part of this.
That's wild.
But I feel like it's interesting that this legend is about a Catholic daughter who wants to marry a Huguenot, and violence erupts. And it's set in a time when a Catholic daughter was marrying a Huguenot and violence erupted. So I think that there's a lot there in terms of encoding history.
And South Carolina gets a ghost.
And South Carolina gets a ghost. Because all the parts that are set in South Carolina are verifiable history. The house existed. It got turned into a hotel. The family existed. The family doesn't exist anymore.
People saw stuff.
Yeah. All that's left these days of Lausanne is the street that it was on originally. And there's a street in Camden that is Lausanne Street, and that is where the Court Inn / Lausanne was back in the day. But the house, long gone.
Is that going to make the recording?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
It'll be okay.
Okay.
Be okay.
This is what happens when you record at the kitchen table.
So, is the legend true? That's a lot harder to say. I could find literally zero evidence for the historical accuracy of the story of Eloise de Sarin and Darcy de Sarin and her father and the brothers Jules and Raoul and all that stuff. But to me, it feels like an inside-out sock version of history.
Yeah, so there's all this strife and people are changing identities to flee and stuff like that. It's reasonable.
That sort of stuff was happening.
Right. It's reasonable to believe that records may have been lost. And, cats might fall off the kitchen table while trying to get a fly.
You never know.
This may be the most distracted episode we've ever done, and that includes conventions.
Oh, yeah, totally. Gosh. That's okay, though. It's going to be really funny.
I think it'll work out.
There's also, though, more to the way that history has been woven into this legend as a way to preserve it.
Okay.
Because this legend is also, in many ways, a retelling of a very famous story that was very famous at the time of Eloise and Peter Abelard.
I don't know that one.
Okay. In the 12th century, a woman named Eloise fell in love with a guy named Peter Abelard. Abelard was a famous writer and philosopher of the time. He was a very influential theologian. He was a forerunner of Kant in philosophy. His writings influenced Immanuel Kant. The most lasting modern idea that we have from Abelard is the importance of a person's intention when they break the law.
Oh, yeah.
The why and how and the person's circumstances mattered to him. The idea of an individual being subject to the law and taking their circumstances and motives into account when sentencing them is something we get directly from Peter Abelard in the 12th century.
Awesome.
Eloise and Abelard they were lovers whose love was forbidden. She was also a famous writer and philosopher of the time, and the two of them were probably Europe's greatest thinkers in the 12th century, or at least among them.
Mm-hmm.
They were highly educated people, highly intelligent people whose ideas were, for that time, extremely progressive. Pope Innocent II condemned Abelard for his beliefs and for the love affair with Eloise, and they were each sent to convents where they continued to write their thoughts and to write to each other. And Eloise defended Abelard vehemently, even as they were each effectively imprisoned. It sounds a lot like this legend of Eloise and her Huguenot lover also. So I feel like this is one of those interesting things where it's not just the history got encoded as a legend. It's the two important parts of history got encoded as a legend. What got encoded was that history kept repeating itself at the time.
I like
I think that's so neat.
That is great.
First, down through the generations, well, how else to describe the people of France while they were experiencing all this?
We are the cursed.
Yeah. And the more local version of the story still stands.
Yeah.
You know, people saw the Gray Lady on the grounds of the court inn many times. That seems to be pretty well documented. And the family did seem to be cursed. And the two main remnants today, like I said, are Los Angeles Drive in Camden, South Carolina, and outside the South Carolina State Library are two giant lion statues that they talk about a lot and are featured heavily in their social media and on their website.
We've posted them.
And those lions came from the court inn. They're the last standing remnants of it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Maybe I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Or forgot that.
I have to go back and listen to our live episodes now because now I'm worried that we did this at a convention a long time ago.
Nah, it's fine.
Except I did the PowerPoint for South Carolina State Library last year. And then the last year has been nothing but
insane.
Yeah. So
if you thought 2024 was bad, wait till you get a load of 2025.
So like we haven't recorded very much.
No,
okay.
It's going to be okay. I guarantee you that we didn't make the exact same jokes.
It would be so funny if we have done and recorded this and released it and we made exactly the same jokes. But that's the story of the other Gray Lady of South Carolina.
Well, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
I remembered parts of it, but now I'm going to remember all of it because you've told me. I've heard it more than once now.
It must be one of the episodes we recorded and we lost the audio.
It has to, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yeah, totally.
I'd like to give a formal thanks to our crew here in the studio today, who were definitely not distracting and definitely did not have multiple interruptions. But
the way it goes.
Do you know what doesn't have any interruptions, Michael?
What doesn't have any interruptions?
When you're reading Arcane Carolinas Volume 3, the new book from Arcane Carolinas, which is available now on Amazon.com.
Okay. It does have chapter breaks, though. I think it's important to note that it's not one long, continuous block of text.
That would be funny to make one like that, though.
Oh, no, that'd be awful. That would be some 12th century France.
That'd be funny. No, like a special limited edition scroll that you just like, we'll take it back to Looney Tunes, right? You just like open the scroll, just like drops to the floor and rolls
like,
out.
Just like all the way down the sidewalk.
There it is. It's the Arcane Carolina scrolls.
Yeah. You're the master of material goods, so I'm going to leave that to you.
Yeah. Well, the gears are turning now. I think that would be really funny.
You're the sorcerer supreme of swag. So we're gonna leave that up to you.
Like get like aged looking paper and stuff. Wax seal it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening. This has been a part of our fall 2025 spooky season lineup, and we can't wait to see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. For more episodes, behind the scenes information, and links to our social media, check out www.arcanecarolinas.com, where you can also buy the Arcane Carolinas book.
And if you like award-winning horror and science fiction, check out my books at michaelgwilliamsbooks.com. And if you have story suggestions, comments, or questions, email us at arcanecarolinas@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.